All right, so welcome, guys. Today we're going to be talking about the energy of emotion. And I've done a lot of research on this, and basically I think at our basic structure, how we are comprised of atoms. And atoms are 99.999% energy. So if that's the case, then us at our core, we are predominantly energy. And so we can also say that each emotion that we experience in this life has a frequency of energy that is attached to it. And if we're depressed, if we're feeling shame, obviously those are going to feel and vibrate a lot lower on an energy frequency than, say, love or peace or joy. And so the whole goal in our healing is trying to shift our energy to some of those higher level frequencies. And sometimes we just get stuck in these lower frequencies. But I also think there needs to be an understanding of where each of those emotions kind of vibrate and where we camp. And then let's do some self-reflection and see where you guys predominantly camp out and where we need to shift to. So if you would draw a line, if you have a sheet of paper, just draw an arrow going up and down vertically on that sheet of paper. And we're going to talk about energetically how these things climb up the ladder, how these emotions climb up this ladder. Let me go to my screen share here. All right, so here we go. So this is our Unleash Your You coaching call, and we've called it Unleash Your You because we're trying to unleash the you that is your highest self. And in order to do that, we have to shift our energy. But in order to do that, we have to understand energetically where we are. So if you look at that sheet of paper and you have your arrow drawn at the bottom of that paper, let's talk about the emotion that vibrates at the lowest frequency possible, right? So at the bottom of that paper is death. Obviously, death is going to vibrate at 0, right? There is no vibrational frequency in death. Right above death is the energy of shame. So write down shame. Shame feels like death to a lot of us. And shame, obviously, it feels like death because it vibrates about as low to death as we possibly can vibrate. And this is important for us to understand. Right above shame is the energy of guilt. So write down guilt. And then right above guilt is grief. And then right above grief is fear. And I want to kind of stop there and let's talk for a second, right? Because I think as I've been doing this job for almost 20 years, I've seen that when people come into my office, this is where they're camping. They're predominantly camping in the energy of shame, guilt, grief, or fear. And these are the vibrational frequencies that get us stuck from getting to the next level. And if we're stuck here, then anything energetically outside of us is what we are going to attract. So picture for a minute, you're holding a tuning fork. And I'm holding a tuning fork. And those tuning forks are tuned to the same vibrational frequency. So if we're sitting across a room from each other and I ring my tuning fork, what's going to happen to your tuning fork? It's going to start to ring because they're tuned to the same vibrational frequency. And so as mine begins to vibrate, yours is going to pick up on that same vibrational frequency and it's going to start to ring. And this is what the universe does to us. And so if we are in this energy of fear, or if we're in this energy of shame or guilt or grief, then the universe is going to show you and reveal to you that same energy that you are vibrating at. Does that make sense to everybody? Give me a yes in the chat if that makes sense. Good. Good, good. So what we're trying to do, a lot of people say, manifestation is really hard. And look, I'm one of them. I really struggle with this idea of manifestation. And the reason being is because energetically I've been stuck. And so if you're looking for the universe or God, higher power, source, whatever you want to call them, if you're looking for that to give you something different, then you have to be different first. And this is how we do it. It's understanding where we are and how to get out of it. And so many of us are so afraid to get out of the energy of fear. Why? Because it's comfortable. No, that's not right. It's familiar. It's familiar to us. We know what to do with fear. We know what to do with guilt. We know what to do with shame. And here's the kicker, guys. Some of you churchgoers, look, you guys know my story. I have been a pastor in a church. I have been a part of the other side of this, and I've seen how some churches use the energy of shame as a motivator because it's a really phenomenal motivator, because death motivates people. You see death start to change people. When somebody dies in a family, people start to change. And so they use shame as this motivation tool to get you to change. But the problem is, where is shame going to keep me? The energy of shame is going to motivate me where? Shame. And I'm going to stay stuck in that vibrational frequency. And so I'm trying to get to love, but I'll never get there because I'm stuck in shame. Does that make sense to everybody? Give me a yes. Give me a thumbs up. So right above fear, I want you to write down this word, desire. The energy of desire. And this is an interesting energy because the energy of desire is like the church calls it coveting. Does that make sense to everybody? The church calls it coveting. Desire is just a want, a wish, but it's not really doing the action to get whatever I want. So a lot of prayers that people put out are in the energy of desire. I desire to get out of this pain because I don't want it anymore. But I'm actually scared to get out of it, and I'm scared to get to the next level, or I'm scared of, if I go through this pain, what is it going to reveal? And what's on the other side of this pain? And do I really want to go there? And so we just stay stuck in this energy of desire, which actually doesn't get us anything. So then it brings us to the next energy level, which is right above desire, and that is the energy of anger. A lot of us are really familiar with this one. And what's interesting is when I have somebody who comes in and say they're depressed, so especially men who are depressed present angry. Why? Because depression feels weak and anger feels powerful. And if we look energetically, depression is sitting down in that shame, guilt, grief area. Well, guess what? Anger vibrates much higher. So of course it's going to feel stronger. It's going to feel more powerful, but it's not near the level that we need to be. And so a lot of us camp in anger that the universe isn't giving us what we want. Anger in that person hurt me. And I really want them to fix themselves, because if they fix themselves, then I'll be better. But the fact of the matter is, no, you're not, because you're stuck in the energy of anger. You have to focus on your energy. And the fact that you're allowing other people's energy to impact yours lets you know where you're vibrating. Does that make sense to everybody? It lets you know where you're vibrating. So let's go right above anger. Right above anger is the energy of pride. Pride's an interesting one. A lot of us get very prideful. I do X, Y, and Z And I expect that the universe or other people are going to give me the same in return. Why are they not giving me the same in return? I'm better than them. Therefore, I stand on holier ground. Pride energetically is still very low. And it's ego driven. And it's only going to get me so far. But there's a statement out there that said that pride comes before the fall, right? We've heard this one before. Pride comes before the fall. The reality is this: energetically, pride comes before the next energy level frequency, which is courage. Right above pride is courage. Pride comes before the awakening. Pride comes before courage. And I want to camp here for a second because this is a really interesting energy. And what I will contend to you is that the energy of courage is the tipping point. The energy of courage is the tipping point to get you to the place that you want to be. And the energy of courage is a very hard energy to get into because we're familiar with everything we've written so far, are we not? We're familiar with pride. We're familiar with anger, fear, guilt, shame, grief. We know what to do with that. But we also know, why do some people not come to therapy, or why do they not put themselves completely into therapy? Because they don't want to peek on the other side of the wall. Like, I know in my gut that there's probably some traumas that I need to deal with. I just don't have the bandwidth right now. I don't have the courage to face it. I don't want to face it. I just want that to be in my past. I want to be done with it. Right? I put that in the closet a long time ago. And I don't want to pull it back out. Don't make me pull it back out. And the unfortunate thing is, guys, if we want to start to shift our energy, we have to have the courage to do the hard thing. We have to have the courage to open the door to that closet, peek inside. There's no monster in that closet that you don't know. Your body already knows the monster that's in that closet, which is why it doesn't want to open the closet door. But on the other side of courage is everything else I'm going to tell you. And this is where we want to be. So it takes facing yourself truthfully and honestly, yourself, not other people, yourself. And three things need to happen here in this energy of courage. If you want to really improve your life, if you want to heal, and I mean heal, you need to let go. That's hard. And in the spirit of letting go, I think we have to really confront with what we need to let go. And that takes help. And that takes courage. But we need to let go of the things that have happened to us and the traumas that have been inflicted upon us by other people. The fact of the matter is this, guys, they're probably traumatized too. And there are things that they need to let go as well. I can't be responsible for that. I'm responsible for me right now. And I'm going to have the courage to look myself in the mirror, to look into that closet door, stare at those monsters, and let them go. And then I need to forgive. The second thing I need to do is forgive. I need to forgive those people who have hurt me. And here's the cool thing about forgiveness, guys. Forgiveness and reconciliation are two different things. Forgiveness is for you. Reconciliation is for us. Notice I didn't say reconcile. I said forgive. Forgiveness is all about you and letting go of the energy of anger, the energy of fear, the energy of grief, the energy of shame, letting that go. And all the things that are tying you to that energy. Be it codependency, be it trauma, be it pain, be it the fact that you had to parent your parents and nobody took care of you. You have to forgive that. And you have to then, third, accept the state of your life currently. Don't fight it. Because what's going to come after that is something really cool. Because the fact of the matter is this, guys, whether you accept your life as it is right now or not has no bearing on your life right now. It is what it is. But the moment that we let go of those traumas, we forgive the people who have inflicted those upon us, and we accept that that is part of our story, we can get to some really cool places. But if we hold on to the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, that's grief. If we hold on to the guilt, man, I really feel bad about that choice. If I hold on to the fear, I'm not going to get anywhere. So it takes courage. This is our tipping point, and this is where I want us to focus on in the next week, is having the courage to look ourselves in the mirror, look behind that door, and see what's behind it. And don't be afraid of it. Because right above courage is the energy of neutrality. Neutrality says, it really doesn't matter the outcome. I'm good either way. But if you look at the energy of, say, desire, the energy of desire says, no, there's only one way that this goes. And if it doesn't go that way, I'm not happy. That's putting a lot of pressure on an outcome. And you're just setting yourself up for disappointment. But if you're in an energy of neutrality, it doesn't matter, because you're already starting to be whole. And then right above neutrality is the energy of willingness. And this is being willing to do the really hard things, right? When I can tip that scale with courage to the other side of this pendulum, I'm more willing to take some risks because I know what the universe can give me. The fact of the matter is that the universe, God, source, whatever you want to call it, wants good for you. And if you feel like it wants bad for you, that's you speaking. That's your energy of fear speaking. That's your energy of shame and guilt speaking. That's not God. That's not source. That's not the universe. There is an abundance out here ready for you. All you have to do is open your arms to receive it. And having that energy of willingness to receive whatever comes in a space of neutrality, you start to see some really cool stuff happen. Right above willingness is the energy of acceptance. And it's just that, it's accepting the outcome either way. And don't be delusioned here, right? Like, it's not like if I have the courage to tip myself to the other side of this pendulum, that life's going to be great. And I'm never going to have struggles. I'm never going to have pain. That's not reality. Of course, things are going to impact you. Of course, people are going to be people-y, and they're going to do things that hurt you. But I'm going to be approaching it from a different energetic level. And so it's going to have less of an impact on me. Does that make sense? Right above acceptance is the energy of reason. And right above reason, and this is where everybody kind of wants to get to, is the energy of love. Above love is the energy of joy. Above joy is the energy of peace. And above peace is the energy of enlightenment. Now take a second here and look at this. Look at this. and tell me where you land. Where do you camp? I think all of us can visit these energy levels that are above courage, but we do just that. We just visit them. We don't reside there. We reside in pride and anger and desire and fear and guilt. I want to get to a different place where I'm above the courage line, and I can visit fear. I can visit grief. I can visit shame because I'm going to. That's just real. But I don't want to camp there. I don't want to reside there. I want to reside on the upper end of that courage line. Remember, pride comes before the awakening. Why is it that the church wants to keep you in an energy of shame and guilt? You're not good enough. You fall, you're not worthy. You fall short of the glory of God. Why is that constantly pounded at the pulpit? Because if I keep you below that courage line, guess what, guys? You're not awakened. And if you're not awakened, I can control you. We have the power within ourselves to shift our energy. And the next call that we have, I'm going to be talking way more in depth at a cellular level what this does to you. And it's really cool. But we have the power to shift our energy. And it simply is a choice, guys. So if you look at this, where do you reside? And then look at this again and tell me, where do you want to be? Hopefully all of us would want to be in the love, joy, peace, right? I want peace. I don't know about you, but I want peace. That's the energy I want to be in. Enlightenment, cool. I mean, if I can get there, great. I'm good with peace. Is this making sense to everybody? Give me a yes. Good. All right, guys. Your higher self. This is the goal. We're trying to get to our higher self. The two most important days in life are the time you were born and the day you find out why. I promise you this, guys, that if we can't get ourselves above that courage line and really residing in some of these higher frequency energies, I'm not going to know my purpose. I'm not going to find it. And we want you to find that. We have to shift the energy out of shame, guilt, grief, and anger. When you find out why you're here, life starts to change. And that's our goal. If anybody's ever read the Four Agreements, if you haven't read the Four Agreements, I would really strongly encourage that you do. It's a phenomenal book. It's a quick read. I read it in a day. I actually picked up this book in a time of high stress. I cleared my calendar. I took the day off work. I was not in a good place. Somebody had mentioned this book to me and I was like, all right, I'll pick it up. Whatever. I'll try it. I got nothing to lose. I'm in a crap place anyway. And I read it, and I read the entire book in that day. And it started to shift some things. And it's not that there is anything profound that's said in this book, but the way that it's said is phenomenal. And it's really eye-opening. There are these four agreements that if we live by these four agreements, we're going to have a pretty good life. The first agreement is that we are impeccable with our word. And if we go back to energy, if I am impeccable with my word, energetically, where am I going to land? I'm going to land above the courage line. But how many of us have this negative dialogue that just rings in our ear? Nobody hears it but us. But it's just a perpetual negative dialogue. So what this book says is, look, guys, if you want to really change your life, start to be impeccable with your word. Because your thoughts create who you are. And then the second agreement is don't take anything personally. The reality is that none of this matters anyway. None of it's real. I have a picture of my son in my office, and I'll look at people and be like, hey, that picture of my son over there on the bookshelf, does that carry any meaning to you? And they're like, no. Like, but it has deep meaning to me because he's my son. So who has ascribed meaning to that picture? Me. But the picture itself means nothing. Anything that has meaning in your life is because you have ascribed meaning to it. So this idea that don't take anything personally because none of it matters anyway. And when we start to guard our energy and not take anything personally, which, mind you, is the energy of neutrality, we start to shift our energy at a basic fundamental level. And guys, I promise you, the world is going to start to give you things. And you're going to be looking at the world going, what in the heck is going on? I don't know what it is, but I like it. It's your energy. Your tuning fork is starting to change, tune to a different frequency. Because if we go back to that tuning fork example, let's say I have my tuning fork, but yours is tuned to a different frequency. If I ring mine, what happens to yours? Nothing. Because it's not tuned to that frequency. So if mine is tuned to fear and yours is tuned to love, me ringing my fear tuning fork does nothing to yours. You're not impacted. And guess what? You're not taking things personally. The third agreement is don't make assumptions. We all know the saying, right? But don't make assumptions because half the time you're wrong, if not more. And then always do your best. Pretty self-explanatory. Go pick up the book. I promise you that book is phenomenal. It'll change your life. The cure for pain is the pain. Sorry. I really hate to give that bad news to you. But the cure for pain is the pain. We live in a culture that loves to medicate. We live in a culture that loves to give you the shortcut. But the problem is the shortcut, it comes at a cost. It always comes at a cost. And sometimes that cost is too much for us to bear. The only way to true healing and to true freedom is to go through the pain, to have the courage to look behind that door and really go through the pain. That's the cure. There's no other way around that. So we have to get to that courage line. We have to tip the scale. We have to look at those things and start to shift our energy. If we don't heal what hurts you, you'll bleed on people who didn't cut you. Is this ringing true to anybody at all? I know it certainly does for me, which is why I wrote it down. We have to heal those wounds. Again, guys, look, I'm coming back to this energy of courage. You have made the decision courageously to start to tip the scale for yourself. And for that, I am extremely proud of you. And this journey is going to be hard. But you have a community of people. You have myself, you have my team, and we are here to help you through that. And we'll get you through that. But let's stop bleeding on people. So one of the ways, and I'll talk about this a little bit more next week, but one of the most profound ways that we can change our energy level is through the practice of meditation. But before I go here, just give me a second, okay? So I say there's 4 steps to change your energy. 4 things that you can do that are going to change your energy, I promise you. If you do these 4 things and do them consistently, you will change your energy. Now, I'm going to give you these 4 things, and you're going to think, Matt, what the fuck are you talking about? And how the hell is that going to change my energy? Bear with me. Step 1, the first thing you need to do to change your energy is drink water. You need to be consuming a gallon of water a day. That is 128 ounces of water a day or more. You need to drink water. If you're going to change your energy, you have to drink water. You're like, how the fuck does that even relate to emotion? Let me tell you. Our human body is comprised of 70% water. 70%. And we need to keep that water in our system for two reasons. One is water is an insane conductor of electricity and energy, is it not? That if lightning were to strike a lake, and I'm in that lake, but I'm a quarter of a mile away, what happens to the energy, to the electricity that strikes that water? It starts to disseminate in that water, and it impacts the entirety of that water within a certain parameter, right? Water is an insane conductor of electricity. So when the lightning hits that water, it spreads, and it spreads fast, and it impacts everything in an instant. So if you're in that water, guess what? You're getting electrocuted. And the lightning didn't even have to strike anywhere near you. Think about that lightning bolt as an emotion. If I have the emotion of love strike me, strike my body, and I've got enough water in my system, what is that going to do to the rest of my cellular structure? What is that going to do to the energy level of my entire body? It's going to disseminate like instantly. And now guess what? I have permeated my body with the energy of love. If I'm not drinking water, I'm not a conductor. The other thing is, and the reason water is so important is because as these cells start to die and start to create new cells that are now programmed to the energy of love, I've got to flush out the old shit. But if I don't have water in my system, it has nowhere to go. It's like a plumbing system with no water to flush it out. I've got to be able to flush out the toxins. So you need to be drinking water. You want to change your energy? Drink water. 128 ounces or more a day. The second thing you need to do to change your energy is eat a healthy diet. You're like, seriously? We've heard all this stuff before. Eat a healthy diet. Organic vegetables, grass-fed beef, free-range chickens. None of that hormonal crap, none of the pesticides, none of the processed foods that we have. Don't eat fast food. It's awful. You want to shift your energy? Be very mindful of what you're putting into your body. I feel very different when I go and eat a very healthy, nutritious meal versus a Whataburger. Now, mind you, I freaking love Whataburger. It's delicious, right? But if you know me, I eat Whataburger like 3 times a year. And I just recently had it. We came home from a flight and it was late. And it was the only place that was open. I was hungry. I was like, whatever, we're going to Whataburger. And I enjoyed it for about half the burger. And about halfway through the burger, I could just feel my energy start to sink. And I looked at my wife and I was like, I'm going to regret this in about 15 minutes. But did it stop me from eating the burger? No, it didn't, because I was hungry. And 15 minutes later, I was like, yeah, there it is. My energy level started to shift. And I'll talk about that a little bit more next week when we talk about the, more of the energy of emotion and how it impacts us. But we have to have a healthy diet. The third thing is you have to be active. You have to exercise. You have to get your body moving. Why? Because there are neurotransmitters that are responsible for this feeling of happiness and joy, that if we are active, we don't have them. Now, I don't care what you do. Go walk. Go outside and take a walk. It doesn't need to be strenuous, but you need to be active. Too many of us are sedentary. And the last thing, the fourth thing that we need to do is meditation. This will shift your energy. And this is something that I just recently got into because I was just like a lot of people, like, oh, I can't meditate. I can't sit still long enough. I get too distracted. I start thinking about all the things that I need to do in the day, and or I fall asleep. And so I needed somebody to teach me how to meditate. And fortunately for you, we have meditation expert on our team who is there to help you and guide you through those meditations. And they will be put up on the portal that you guys will have access to, that you can use as a tool to help you through this, I'll call it a struggle of meditation, because it was a struggle for me. But meditation is conflict's way of looking at itself. This is the way for us to look behind the door. This in therapy is a way for us to look behind the door. So here's your steps to meditation. Really quite simple, guys. Breathe in. Breathe in deep. Belly breath deep. I'm talking like let your belly just stick out deep, like as much air as your lungs can possibly take in. Breathe in. And as you get to the top, I want you to hold that breath. And as you're holding that breath, I want you to squeeze. Now, mind you, you're sitting on the ground and you're sitting straight up. And it's as if I have a connection that's between me and God and me and the earth, the mother. And I have this connection between father and mother. Okay. As I breathe in and I hold my breath, I want to envision myself opening up the top of my head as if to receive what God would have for me, what source would have for me, what the universe would have for me that day. Squeeze, hold as long as you can, and then exhale. And then when you exhale, at the bottom, I want you to hold. And then breathe in. Again, squeeze and hold and squeeze every part of your body as you're holding. And I want you to repeat that 4 to 5 times. Now you're ready. And as we have some of these guided meditations, we'll guide you through some of this stuff to help you kind of set your intention. But when you meditate, I want you to set your intention. One of the intentions that I have been setting for myself is the words, I am abundant and I am worthy. That is my intention for every meditation. And for the foreseeable future will probably be my intention, because I don't want to move the bar around. I want to really camp in that spot. And I want to shift my energy to that. That is my goal. So my intention is I am abundant, I am worthy. And I'm putting all of my focus into that energy alone. And the meditation puts me into that energy and kind of keeps me in that energy throughout the day. It's phenomenal stuff. So today, my goal was to really get you guys to understand the energy of emotion and where each emotion lands on that frequency scale. Identify where you are on that scale and then where you want to be. And understanding that the tipping point to get to where you want to be is having the courage to do it and to do the hard thing. To peek behind that door and start to heal yourself. All of us have been wounded, every single one of us. And a lot of us carry that wound as if it's just what people do. Hurt people. But we don't actually heal it. Remember, I want you to let go. I want you to forgive. I want you to accept. In that energy of courage. And then what happens afterwards, just be ready, because it's really cool. And next week, I'm going to talk about how as you start to improve your energy, your body's going to want to pull you back. It's just going to want to pull you back. And I'm going to talk to you exactly why. And I'm going to show that to you at a scientific level. But next week is some really cool shit, because I'm going to show you the power that you have within you. But first, you have to understand you at an energetic level. So I want you to meditate on this today. Figure out, set your intention to where you want to meditate in the future. Go on YouTube, find some guided meditations. As I get everything set up on the portal, I'm going to send that to you. And you'll have access to those guided meditations that we're putting up. And that catalog is going to constantly grow. But use them, repeat them. It doesn't really matter to me. All that matters is that you have the intention for the meditation and you change. But remember the first three. Make sure you're drinking your water. Make sure you're eating healthy. And make sure you're getting active. And you will start to shift your energy, I promise you. So stay tuned next week, because I'm going to give you a heck of a lot more. And bring your high school biology with you, because I'm gonna nerd out on some brain chemistry that's going to be real. I love it. It's one of my passions. But we're going to be talking about things like neurons and electrons and protons and neutrons and all the ons. It's going to be fun. So thank you guys for coming today. I really appreciate you taking the time, and I look forward to next week. And if anybody has any questions, absolutely stick around, chime in. I'm happy to answer any questions, but you guys are free to go. Thank you for taking your time. And if anybody has any questions, certainly if anybody has any comments, fire back.